Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at Hasbro's G.I. Joe Classified Series Red Ninja. And I have to be honest, when I bought this, I didn't realize the name was just Red Ninja, and now I'm very disappointed in the lack of creativity. But I thought it looked like a cool figure and it'd be one I'd like to review, so that's why we have it. I'm not really collecting the G.I. Joe line. I know a lot of you have asked me to review more of them. I just don't have any personal interest in it. I'm sorry, and I can only review things I buy unless companies send me review samples, and almost no companies do that, so I can't do that. I'm sorry. But we are going to review this one. It's a pretty cool figure. There's a lot to like about it, some stuff not to like so much about it for reasons. And otherwise, it's going to be a pretty much run-of-the-mill review. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 16.5 centimeters, just shy of that, which is to the very top of his hood, which makes him pretty close to, let's just call it 6.5 inches. So run-of-the-mill Marvel Legends size. I'll be completely frank with you. Not to be confused with Cousin Frank from Naruto. This is Snake Eyes with some stuff on top. It's a Snake Eyes figure. If you like that figure, you're going to like this one, sculpt-wise and functionality-wise. There's stuff on top, though. Alright, so just for a couple quick comparisons, for those of you who are into that sort of thing. Alright, here he is up against the movie Deadpool, which is a fairly average size Marvel Legends. I know a lot of them tend to go a little bit tall nowadays, but there he is up against the movie Deadpool, and here he is up against a couple of my Ninja Rival Clan figures, which are just in prototype stage, but this way you have an idea of what we're working with. Alright, that's good enough. He looks like he's huge. There we go. Alright, so there you go. They're all in scale with each other pretty much, so everybody's happy. Okay, back to the Ninja. Snake Eyes. Red Snake Eyes is what I'm going to call it. It's a lot pinker than I think it should be. If I had a nickel. Look at that. I mean, it's almost black on there. Obviously, it's supposed to be a nighttime thing, but he's very dark. You know, as ninjas might be, mostly. Even back here, fairly dark, mostly black and red. This guy's kind of like burgundy and pink, or wine in pink, almost like a hot pink. Definitely takes away a little bit of the aesthetic. I don't know that most people are going to care all that much, but he's definitely pretty neon pink. It's like a slightly duller version of neon pink. A little bit strange. But the paintwork is fairly clean. They made this part glossy. This like kind of like, it's supposed to look like cloth, like fancy cloth, I guess. That's what it looks like on there. But it's glossy. Nothing else is glossy. Everything else is pretty matte, which is good. But the line work is clean. I mean, no real complaints about the paint other than this muted wine and pink color really needs like a wash or something. It looks almost unfinished. It's odd. Is anybody else getting that vibe? Even with all these little bits of color in here, and it's actually, I mean, it's clearly painted nicely. It has a sort of unfinished quality to it due to the plastic nature of it. The face is painted well enough. The eyes are a little bit overdone. There's white everywhere, but still pretty good. And then the Cobra logo on the head is nice too. So overall, it's pretty well done, but it definitely could use a little bit of sprucing up in the paint department, I think. But still, it looks pretty good, and the sculpt is nice. Lots of detail work. No real issues there. I'll give it an 8 overall. It's nice, but there's something iffy about it, being those colors and having no clear paintwork, like to make the details stand out. It looks very toyish rather than collectible-ish. It's like half the G.I. Joe figures meet that, and then half are more collectible. So that's kind of interesting to me. Alright, as far as accessories go, we have a whole plethora of weapons. If you missed any from one of the Snake Eyes releases, I think you're going to get them all in here. Maybe. That's all of them, except I'm missing a sai, of course, because that's the way things work out for me. But otherwise, that's all of them. We have 2 of the picks, 2 of the axes, a big sword, a little sword, and 2 sai. Or sais if you're going to use it as English. If you're using it as Japanese, it would just be sai. Alright, so plenty of those. If you want to take this thing off the back, you can. So I guess that could count as an accessory, but I'm not going to count it. But you can do that if you want to. So accessory-wise, no alternate hands. Do we need them? Probably not. I mean, fists are nice. Yeah, okay, I'll say 9. Alright, because there's no paint on the accessories, and some fist hands would have been nice. That seems fair enough. Okay, on to the articulation. The head and neck are ball pegged. I believe the head's a ball peg on top of the neck. Oh, there's a hinge too. All right, that makes sense. So there's a ball peg for the neck, which moves around very nicely. Then we have our hinge up here, and then the ball peg there. I don't know that we really need that hinge, but whatever, it's fine. I mean, it doesn't hurt for sure, so yeah, neck's really good, no problems there. I think they could have achieved it with a couple of ball pegs instead of a hinge, but that's okay. Shoulders, snake eyes shoulders, so they raise up to the side, no problem. This is going to get in the way, obviously, because it's there. It's plastic. But it's well enough done, it's soft enough plastic that it shouldn't really be an issue. You do have a butterfly joint, which is just about worthless. People are all about the butterfly joint these days, and I don't know why, because most of the time it's worthless. Or it's not worthless, but it doesn't look good. So I don't know. I'd rather just they save the money, throw some more paint on there. You can talk about that in the comment section below if you like. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbow is fine. Wrists have a swivel and a hinge. They definitely have trigger fingers, but that's okay because you'll be able to hold the swords with them, and they have the right kind of hinge on them. So that is good. For the torso, we have our ab crunch right here. Goes all the way forward, all the way back, like almost 90 degrees both ways. So plenty of that. And then you also have a ball peg at the waist, which does allow you to lean, but it's really just a floppy mess. Apparently they're not going to fix this Snake Eyes figure. They've been like at least 75% floppy based on the reports I've had in my comment sections. A few people tell me they get them and they're nice and tight, but almost every single thing is floppy mess. And all of mine except for one have been floppy messes. But you get your rotation down there and then a floppy lean. So not as good as like a diaphragm joint and another ball peg, but it'll do. At least the ab crunch is really effective. All right, so this is a floating piece. And then we have our hinged hips. So they drop down, which can be good for some things. But you can see right there, you can tell what the problem is with this type of engineering. Look where the hips are, where they're at the top. And then when I pull them down, watch what happens to the hip placement. It's very subtle, but it pinches them in. So you definitely have some issues with that. And the hinge itself is just a floppy mess, again. So that's going to be an issue. I'd rather they just not do it. Yeah, you can get all the way out to the side, but you can get close enough to out to the side without using that hinge. So just don't put the hinge in there. It's not helping enough, and it is too floppy. It's loose. So that's not good. Like, every time I handle this guy, his legs just fall down. So that's not good. You can bring the legs pretty far forward, but again, the hinge isn't really accomplishing anything. So just get rid of that hinge. It's a nightmare. You have a thigh swivel, which doesn't work on this side, and it works fine on this side, so it's probably going to be fine for you. Double jointed knees, very chunky knees, but they work. We have a boot swivel at the top of the boot, as you might guess. And then for the ankles, very loose ankles on this guy. They don't go all that far forward. They go all the way back, and we have a decent enough ankle rocker. So his articulation would be okay if he wasn't a floppy mess. Again, still, that's a problem. Most of the joints work okay, but it's a floppy mess. So a super generous 7 out of 10 for this guy. It's way too floppy. If it wasn't floppy, it would be very functional and okay, but it's just too floppy. And then we do have issues with limited joints. Gosh, I need to see a speech therapist. No, I don't. I need more sleep, and I need to not talk so fast. Anyway, if you don't get a floppy one, you're going to be perfectly happy with the articulation. All right, so final verdict on this guy. I imagine people are going to try to army build these. It should be doable. I bought mine without even really trying. I just happened to see it. It was on Big Bad Toy Store. There's a link in the description below. I saw it, so I bought it so I could review it. If they're still available, army build them if you want to. They're good enough for that for sure. But then they're probably going to sell out pretty quick after people start doing that. So good luck, but it's a nice enough figure. I'll give it a final verdict of 7 out of 10. Being that it's mostly a reused body and that it's still super floppy, the benefits of it having a nice sculpt and some nice features and kind of a lot of accessories are kind of just weighed down by the weird coloration, floppy joints, and that most of it is reused. So they saved a lot of budget there. Too many flaws, but still not a terrible release. So go ahead and get it if you like it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.